Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. East onto the podcast. How did the freeze impact your business in particular?
So anytime there's an inclement weather situation in the exotics industry, it's the worst case scenario for a lot of these clients.
If something splays out and dislocates a hip or breaks something, how do you go about fixing that? Are you just performing like PT on them, or?
For the most part, those animals are usually euthanized.
What should ranch owners not do before or during a freeze?
Not do is don't just decide you're going to start feeding your animals 2 weeks before a freeze.
Right.
You should be preparing for a freeze
all year round.
Oh yeah, all year round. Your entire life should be around preventing your animals from having inclement weather conditions take them out.
So what are other old practices that people in this industry are doing besides putting wormer in their feed every quarter?
One of the practices that is really hard for me to sometimes wrap my brain around is using certain drug protocols.
What are some main practices you wish every ranch owner had a better understanding of?
I wish that they would understand the value of a veterinarian proactively in their program. Good vet care is expensive.
Right.
You will pay for good vet care, but you will pay more for bad vet care.
Before we kick off today's podcast, I am asking anyone who is listening, please, you don't have to be a sponsor, you don't have to give us money, but what would really help us out is if you would make sure whatever platform you're listening on that you would follow us, like this podcast or this episode, and comment below. I know I sound like any influencer out there. It goes so much further than you know, but if you would please do those things or share it on your social media, we would greatly appreciate it. The more influence that we have, the more guests we can have, and hopefully to bring you more education. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. East onto the podcast. She is a veterinarian in the exotic wildlife industry, and this podcast is long overdue. We were supposed to have this a couple weeks ago, but the freeze happened. So, Dr. East, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am very honored to be here. I'm a longtime fan, so I'm excited to be here. Mother Nature had other plans for our initial podcast date, but now it's much warmer, and here we are.
Absolutely. So yeah, since I mentioned the freeze, obviously we have warmer weather, summer's coming up, or if we get a spring will be first, but spring, summer. But let's talk about the freeze for anyone listening. So how did the freeze impact your business in particular?
Yeah, so anytime there's an inclement weather situation in the exotics industry, it's the worst case scenario for a lot of these clients because you have these investments that are now subject to Mother Nature's wrath. And so it's a hard thing for owners because there's a lot that's out of our control. We can't force animals to go into shelters. So for us, it was hard because we are on the forefronts of what happens when animals don't do what's intended or they don't do what's in their best interest, which is take shelter, eat food appropriately. So we have to be prepared for the worst case scenarios in these extreme weather events. People are more prepared now after the Snowvid apocalypse in whatever year that was. That was probably the worst weather event our industry has seen in a long time. So I think people were more prepared this time around for the event. But from the veterinary perspective, we're looking at animals that have extreme hypothermia, splay, especially if people have ponds that iced over, animals that lose their footing and splay all the way out, they can dislocate their hips and you just have severe trauma from that. Then the secondary issues is frostbite from just exposure, essentially. So from us, from a veterinary perspective, we're sitting in wait while Mother Nature does her task and we wait for the patients to start rolling in and the phone calls to come.
Yeah. So let me ask that. I never had animals have this happen, or at least I didn't know when I had animals if they did it. If something splays out and dislocates a hip or breaks something, how do you go about fixing that? Are you just performing PT on them, or?
For the most part, those animals are usually euthanized, only because the one thing about exotic animals that's really hard from a veterinary perspective is that we can't extrapolate a lot of the things that we do in domestic species like sheep and goats, or even cattle, because they're wild animals.
Right.
So a lot of these animals, if they do have a true splay event and they have a dislocation, putting that bone back into the joint socket is essentially impossible once that damage has been done. So a lot of those animals are euthanized if it's severe enough to warrant that decision. But some of them, if they just have like a minor splay event, we had a couple in the 2020 freeze that were like that. We were able to like put them in a smaller, more confined area, give them oral medications for pain, and essentially just wait for them to improve with time.
And then are people bringing animals to your facility? Are you going out to their place, or how does that work?
We normally go out to people's facilities unless it's like a small mammal or something that's like appropriate to bring to us, like in a carrier or something like that. But for the most part, we go out to facilities and ranches. We're mobile based primarily, but we do have a wonderful hospital manager named Wanda Goldberg, and we hospitalize patients there with her. That's mostly like neonate, critical, small mammals, things like that. So in the freeze, we were triaging babies, and then we were booting them to Wanda's once they were stable.
So if there's a freeze, obviously the roads are pretty bad. Does the transportation ever become an issue, or do you like just drive to a big client's place and be like, hey, we're here just in case?
Yeah. So for this freeze, I was primarily at just one ranch. And then the other vets were, once the roads cleared up, they were starting to like go to different places to triage issues. But for me, like the ranches that we service that have the biggest population of animals, we were stationed there for the freeze. And it's central. So then it's close to Wanda's. So then people could, if they braved the elements to bring animals, which some people did, then we were able to be close by to help those animals as well.
Man. Yeah, because I figured that was my one. I never have regrets in life, but the one regret I have was during the snowvid. My wife and I just bought our first house. We were just moving in, and at Hatata, they had like 12 inches of snow, and there was like 40 Cape Buffalo running around. And I was like, most people in America never see Cape Buffalo.
Yeah.
Most people in the world probably never see Cape Buffalo in snow. And there's damn sure no one who ever had it on camera.
Yeah.
And I'm literally unloading boxes with my wife while it's cold outside going, all right, we just got married. Is she going to get mad at me? Is she going to divorce me?
I really need to go take pictures of Cape Buffalo in the snow.
And I don't think she would have been down for it. But I told her if it ever happens again, I'm going to go.
During Snowvid, I was still doing like mixed animal relief, and I walked to the clinic to do a C-section on a dog, and they drove the dog, and we had no power. So we brought hot water from our house because we had power. So we trucked water in from our house. My husband, I was like, you need to come run anesthesia and hold a flashlight for me.
Golly.
And the owners drove like an hour. It took them an hour to get to the clinic, and we lived close enough to walk. So we like suited up, walked to the clinic, and I did a C-section on this dog, like 7 alive puppies. Mom and babies were fine.
Wow.
It was awesome, but it was also like, I've never done flashlight surgery like that. And it was a pretty cool experience, but I hope to never do again.
Right. Well, that's one thing too. I'd be curious. This isn't in our notes or anything, but it seems like anytime there's bad weather, and I just think it's Mother Nature and animals, mamas tend to just push their babies out. Yeah. And is that just like a survival instinct, or what is that? Yeah,
it's like the herd instinct to want to be with the group, especially like during inclement conditions, because it's safer as a herd. And then I think the babies, it's just, they're weaker, right? I mean, they're born and they're wet, and then it's cold. So this year, we recommended people pull babies if they were born on the Friday before we knew the Saturday sleet was coming. And we said, like, use your best judgment, right? Like bottle baby male animals of certain species are incredibly dangerous. So you have to use your best judgment as far as what animals are going to be the ones that you consider pulling.
Right.
And putting on the bottle. So that was one decision that is ranch specific, but is what animals are you going to pull if you see them born on the Friday before?
Yeah. Well, that's we're already going way off tangent of what we have on here, but that makes me another thing that I'd be curious of your opinion is, as a vet, when you post something on social media, because you're posting, like, let's say about inclement weather, and you're like, I want to help the people that follow us, but I can't call every single client, or I can't call every person that's not a client. Do you get any like pushback when you do something and people just take whatever you post on social media as like gospel truth? Because I noticed one thing you said was like, at your discretion. Yeah. Or not exact words, but saying like, hey, make your own decision. Also, if you're listening to this podcast, this is not gospel truth. We are not attorneys. Make your own decisions.
Everything we say is right. 100%.
So do you get people that reach out or tell you like, oh, well, I did this because of your Facebook page? Hopefully, yes. But do you ever get any pushback from it?
Not really. I think we're careful about the advice that we do put out there. And it's like, use your best judgment, but also like utilize your veterinarian, whether or not it's us or whoever you might be using, is to use the tools in your toolbox to be successful. Especially like with the information we're putting out there, it's usually because we've seen something or experienced something that we don't want other people to go through. And if you have some of these tools, it can help you be more successful and help your animals thrive and survive in inclement conditions. So for us, putting that out there I'm like, if this saves one person's animal, it's worth the risk of putting out there the ways that you can help.
Right.
And we don't get much pushback from that, but I think it's because we're careful about how we curate our intention on social media, because it's not meant to be like blanketed advice. Because a lot of times people will look at someone's experience as being wisdom, when really like just because you saw it done one way doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it should always be done.
Right.
And that's a dangerous game to play in the veterinary world. So for us, we're trying to put things out there that are very easy for like a layperson to do, not like practice veterinary medicine.
Right.
So we weren't like place an IV catheter and do all these, give this much fluids, because we're not going to do that.
Right.
We're like, call a veterinarian if you need to do that.
For sure. So one other thing that I saw y'all put on y'all's Facebook was what'd you call it? Like the warm tub or
I think we called it calf warming, but it's like
calf warming.
Put it in a bathtub, warm it up.
So if someone's listening, again, this is not directly to your animals, it's just a general one, but how do you decide when to do that? Does it go to all species? And then how long do you have to do that? And do you just put them right back outside? Do you have to put them on the bottle? What are practicalities of bringing your animals in, warming them up in the tub, and then what's next?
Yeah. So the reason for the bathtub is that a lot of times when we're warming animals, if they're that cold, like they're that hypothermic, like you can't get a reading on a thermometer, their core body temperature is too low to really even perfuse their organs or like get adequate blood flow. So you need to bring their temperature up faster than what external heating can do. And so when you put them in the bathtub, it really like increases their core body temperature in a faster way. It's used a lot in cattle industry up north. So we were using it in exotics, and we're like, well, we actually don't know if people know that they can do this. And once they're warm, that you can see them start to come to life. Like they start to, like their eyes start to come more central and they start to look more awake. We do it until that happens, until we see like a little bit more like liveliness or they're fighting us a little bit. Then we take them and we dry them off, and then we use a hair dryer to like get them dry and warm, and we stimulate them until they're up and alert and standing.
Right.
We even did it with like a 7-month-old black wildebeest, which is insane. Like
I can't imagine.
I know, we put him in a trash bag with his head out, and like because he was so muddy, and we submerged him fully in water, and he started to come to life, and we were like, get the sedation. Like this is possibly going to get hairy, which it didn't. He did like become fully awake after that. But it's crazy to think about when their core body temperature, like, you're watching them be resurrected essentially, like from near death. And then the second problem is now they like have no glucose because they've shivered. They're not even shivering, because shivering goes away when you're that hypothermic. Man. So then the next issue is, how do we get this animal energy? Because it has none. That's why it got in this situation to begin with.
Yeah. So that's a wild story. Good for you, because I would be freaking out with the 7-month-old.
We were freaking out because it was like me and Kerrigan, my technician, we're like, are we insane for doing this? And we're like, kind of, but you know what? Like, if it's worth it if we can try. Right. So yeah, there's some crazy things that we'll do to try to save animals.
And so that kind of goes into my next question is, again, blanket statement, what should ranch owners not do before or during a freeze?
That's a hard one. I think anything they do is prepared wise is helpful. Right. Not do is like, don't just decide you're going to start feeding your animals 2 weeks before a freeze. Right. Like you should be preparing for a freeze for
all year round.
Oh yeah, all year round. Like your entire life should be around preventing your animals from like having inclement weather conditions take them out, which you expect that some of your animals are going to, if you have inclement weather, there are some animals when you have large populations that are more at risk. So I do expect there to be loss. But if you have widespread loss,
something's wrong.
Yeah, you should be probably looking at your management of how you're preparing for a freeze. Right. Like wind breaks. Like we're looking for wind breaks months before, like we're in November and we're like, if this pen doesn't have a shelter, how can we make a windbreak? Which way does the north, which way is going to block this north wind? My husband is like the master, like bongo windbreak maker. This is like his passion in life, is making wind blocks for animals.
That's awesome.
So he's like, yes, the wind this way. And then he puts the block up and then the animals use it. And it's like the most amazing feeling to drive through in a freeze and see animals using the spaces that you made for them.
Right.
So I think there's not really things people can do besides just being negligent. I think is the big thing is don't prepare 2 weeks before and then be surprised when you lose a lot of animals.
Right. Well, now that we've kind of gone through what we should have, a couple weeks ago of the freeze and everything else, I kind of want to go into your history. So how did you know that you wanted to become a veterinarian, or did you know?
Yeah, I always knew, like from when I was like little. My mom has a picture of me from kindergarten that I actually put on my vet school graduation announcement when I was graduating that she found. And it's like, my name is Brittni and I'm in kindergarten and I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up. And it's like a picture of me with a white coat and a teddy bear. And it's like from a young age, I always knew that I wanted to be a vet. And I was always passionate about animals. I grew up on a boar goat farm and my arms were really small when I was little. So I was like always helping pull babies and helping with the babies and the bottles and all that stuff. So I grew up like in a livestock background, and I actually got in trouble in kindergarten for telling a story about helping pull a baby and like being like, and then I like put my arm in her vagina and I like pulled this goat baby and the mom was eating the placenta, and the kindergarten teacher like calls my mom and she's like, she can't tell those stories at school anymore.
Yeah, it's wild that, not that you're old, but even back then, but like we use grammatically correct terms in our household, and we have some parents look at us like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I won't go into the full details, but I'm just like, because I don't need my daughter not knowing what they are. Yeah. But just in general, it's life. It's the biology of an animal, and people just need to know what it is. So yeah, we it's funny, when I was in school with my background, I would take like monkeys to show and tell, and people are like, can you bring this here? I'm like, y'all said bring whatever. Yeah. It was like back when things used to be cool to do, and now it's like, no way, that would never happen now. But you're like, it was cool then. Right. Yeah. Now you can pay someone with a trailer to bring their animals for a little show and tell pet. God, what is the word? Petting zoo. Thank you. Yeah. We're just used to the wild animals out in the ranch. Back in my day, we bring honey badgers to these things. And they're like, oh no, we're like cow and llama people now. Right. Yeah, they're probably making more money than everyone else. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've got a buddy that breeds mini cows before mini cows were cool to breed, and they've obviously taken off. But he was like, we've actually made more money going to weddings for like 2 hours and just like letting people take pictures with our prettiest cow. Yeah. Good for you. Always be ready to pivot no matter what your business is. Yeah, we are also mini cow ranchers. So we have 5. There you go. Yeah. We're like, are we like all hat, no cow? Like we have 5 mini cows. So right. Yeah. Like, in fact, this is my first rodeo. Yeah. In fact, they escaped the first day we had them. So we were like, should we just not have animals? Like just keep it to the dogs. Right. But we got them back. Good. So I'm like, that's an expensive asset to be on the run. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. We're like calling our employees. We're like, everybody needs to get here. Like the cows are out. You're not off today. Right. Yeah. Bring the BAM. No. So where did you go to school and everything for your doctorate? So I got my undergrad degree at Texas A&M. I got an animal science degree there in 2013 is the year I graduated. And then I did my veterinary degree there as well. So 8 years in College Station, very long time. But I did all 8 years at A&M, was where I wanted to stay in Texas, especially because in-state tuition was really helpful. And at the time, Texas A&M was the only vet school in the state. Yeah, I think we talked about that with Macy yesterday, because he went to A&M as well. But he said like when he went, he thought it was a lot of people, and it was like 43,000. And so he was like, there wasn't much competition. So when I graduated with my class of like 50, he's like, only 2 people had jobs when they graduated. And so what are some things you learned in school that are practically used today? Maybe not the medicine side, that's obvious. But like, because I've heard a lot of people that are like, we learned the textbook side here, but it's the real world boots on the ground is so much different. Yeah, we just had a veterinary extern and we talked about this with him, because in vet school, you learn the gold standard. Like you learn like this is the ivory tower is what we call it.
because this is how medicine is practiced at the highest level.
Mm.
And they teach you that in school because it's important that you know what that looks like. But then you get into the real world and you have real clients with like real money considerations, and you have animals that you can't necessarily touch, like domestic species. And so you figure out, it's like the school of hard knocks. You learn the ivory tower, but you compromise to where you can meet a client halfway with what you can actually do or practically do to help an animal.
Right.
But I mean, school prepared us for foundational veterinary medicine, but it definitely didn't prepare me for exotics. Like everything I do now is it's foundationally built on what I learned in vet school, but it's practically built on the experiences that I gained while I was in vet school outside of the actual school itself.
Right. So what drew you to the exotic industry?
I was just, every day is different and it's challenging. Like it's not dogs. I did love mixed animal practice, and I really loved working with clients and helping them with their dogs and their cats and their cows. But there's a different dynamic to exotics. And I think that really drew me to the industry is there's not a lot of people practicing high level veterinary care for exotic animals. And we wanted to raise that standard and offer a better foundational care for the animals in this industry. And so that was like my primary goal in being in this industry in Texas. I initially thought I would do this like in Africa or something because I wasn't as familiar with the Texas industry at the time. But then I found out about it and I was like, this is where I want to be.
Right. So what was that like turning point for you to where you were like, I saw my first sable, or I heard about exotics for the first time? When was that?
So I went to Africa after my after undergrad. I went for 3 months, worked with a veterinary team and did like some rhino orphanage projects. And I like fell in love with the exotics industry there and like what they were doing. And this was peak South Africa time when I was there. Right. So I really fell in love with the animals and the culture and the experiences of doing it and just how diverse the animal care was. And then after that, I was like, I want to get more experience while I'm in America. So I think the one that really changed everything for me was going to Fossil Rim. And how I got that externship is they don't accept first year vet students. Like they only accept fourth year vet students.
Wow.
But I was like, I'm going to try anyways, because why not? So I was like, hey, I'm a first year vet student and I want to like come and shadow you guys for 2 weeks or whatever. And they're like, we don't take first year vet students. We only take fourth years. But I just kept emailing like, hey, if you ever have an opportunity, just let me know. And
yeah, but I'm Brittni East.
Yeah, I was like, at the time, I'm like, I'm a nobody to them. So I'm like, hey, it's me again. If you guys ever have anything, like, I just would love to help. And I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so they were like, a fourth year vet student canceled. And they emailed me and they're like, hey, you're always emailing us about opportunities. And we don't normally offer this to a first year vet student, but someone's not going to be here for 4 weeks. Do you want to come live here for 4 weeks in the intern house and get some experience? And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I do. So I got to go to Fossil Rim for 4 weeks. And that was like a really incredible experience for me as a first year student, because I didn't really have the whole medical part, but just even getting the foundational knowledge from the keepers and from Adam and at the time, Holly, the veterinarian, was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that really like helped me understand the Texas industry a little better, because they have a really good grasp at Fossil Rim as like what's going on in the private industry and in the zoo world. So they're kind of that bridge. So they educated me a lot on the Texas industry, and they're still really good friends of mine to this day. Like I talk to their veterinarians all the time. They're great mentors, and Adam Ayers is an incredible person. He's very involved with EWA. So that was a really foundational relationship for me to have developed so early in my vet school career.
Right. And is Adam the owner?
No, he is like the general like curator over the property, over their collection. But he's been there for a really long time. Like there's pictures of him as like a young boy, like working there and
That's
stuff.
cool.
It's really cool. He's come up with the whole Fossil Rim experience from a young age.
Yeah. Someone told me at EWA that I need to have blank from Fossil Rim, but I don't remember whose name they said. It may have been him.
Yeah, probably Adam, because he does a lot with the Sahara Conservation Fund.
Yes.
And very active in international conservation work.
Yeah. Well, Adam, this is your invitation to come on.
Yeah, Adam.
Love to learn more.
Shout out to Adam.
So is there any points, I guess, if we're talking about your infancy of getting your doctorate and everything else, is there any like funny stories that you were like trying to work on before you knew anything about them that happened?
Gosh, there's like so many that, I mean, like sometimes like in the very beginning, like not knowing certain species, I think, or not like understanding the differences between some of them. Like when you're first starting, like going somewhere and being like, oh, like what zebra is that? And they're like, it's a Grevy's. And now like if you did that, someone would be like,
yeah,
well, I mean, this was like here. 10 years ago when I'm like, wow, that zebra looks so different than the other ones. And they're like, that's because it's a critically endangered Grevy's zebra. And you're like, oh, I knew that.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. I was actually testing you. So I think in the beginning, it's like there's so many species to know. And like now it's like you can, I know them now. But when you're first starting and you don't have like, there's just so much to know about this industry that it's like drinking from a fire hose.
Right.
And so I think in that like very adaptable, critical stage of growth and learning, it's just being hit with all of it at once and trying to absorb it. Yeah,
I think that's the part for me because I grew up, we talked beforehand, in this industry my entire life. And so to me, it just was like second nature. I just knew them, bottle fed them just for fun around my grandparents. But being able to watch like Daniel, Grayson, Rachel, all of them learn everything because they had livestock backgrounds. They were interested in exotics and they may have known a handful or whatever. But even my wife, when we first got married, she loved hunting. She loved doing this, but she had no idea about the exotic world. And so the first year we got married, I made her a book of like all my pictures. And it's kind of like flashcards. It was like, and I would probably vomit if I saw my graphic design skills versus like what Chance could make.
Copy and paste, like clip
100%.
art.
100%. Yeah. And back then I didn't have like a data sheet that we have now. And so I'm like Googling, going like Ox Ranch and Champion and being like, all right, well, where is this one exactly from? And what's the scientific name? And I was like, I don't know if they're lying, but it's on the internet. So it must be true.
Yeah.
And so I like put all that on there.
The internet is a dangerous place.
Yeah. And she really enjoyed it because like I probably would never call anything about scientific name, but she has her doctorate as well. So she like was geeking out on it, like learning about them. And
the scientific names are so fun.
Yeah. And so one thing for her too is like when she sees our professional pictures, she's like, I can't tell how big it is. Like, because one of my dream animals is a Lord Derby eland. Oh. And she's seen an eland and I'm like, Kylie, it's like 3 times the size. Yeah. And she's like, there's no way.
I've met huge. One in person. Insane.
Man, that's my...
It was on my bucket list. I'm like, there are a few animals out there that I'm like, this is an animal I want to see or work with or do something with. And the Lord Derby was on there. And last year we got to see one and meet one and work on. I'm like, this is it. This is my bucket list. Like and we were like touching him and he's friendly. It was insane.
Where was that?
It was at a ranch in South Texas, a private. We were there for something else, but this Lord Derby happened to be around, and I saw him as we were driving up, and we were like, "Play it cool,
right?"
Play it cool. We're like, "Hey,
yeah, what's that?
What is that? We like, is that what we think it is?"
Because I've heard there's a place with Lord Derby, and I don't even know who it was. They wouldn't say, but I was just like, I would love to go see it.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy when we saw it because we were like, not a lot of people get to see them and actually like be able to put your hands on it and just see how big it is in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bucket list for sure.
Yeah. And so when we go to like trophy rooms or whatever, I'll be like a little kid at Disney and I'll be like, Daniel, take my picture next to this full bodied Lord Derby. He's like, why? I was like, I'm trying to show Kylie how big it is.
Yeah. You don't understand the lore.
Yeah. And so that was one of those. But then we'll also like, if we're going, like when I went hunting in Africa and stuff, I like shot a huge water buck, but I like laid on top of it to be like,
this is how big it is.
Here's how big it is compared to me. And so,
yeah.
But yeah, so then you went through school, everything else. And then I know you did some mixed animal stuff, but how did you start building credibility in the exotic world? Because this is a pretty niche, tight industry. How did you build credibility with everyone in our industry?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was just, can I just do work for one person and have this one person believe in what I'm offering to them? Like I wasn't out here trying to be like, everybody should hire me because I know I'm like, I want to work with someone that will trust that I'm going to do the best that I can for them and really help their program. So what I did is it was important to me that I build this company on like a foundation that I was proud of. And so I did mixed animal practice to cash flow the business. So I was doing mixed animal and like working 16-hour ER shifts and doing vaccine clinics and doing all of that to supplement to be able to go 1 or 2 days a week to help people with exotics.
Right.
And so I formed a really great relationship with a mixed animal vet in Fredericksburg named Neil Eckert, and he's an incredible veterinarian in person. And I helped him 2 days a week, and he really needed that. And in return, I was like, can I borrow your x-ray machine to x-ray an exotic animal? And it worked really well because I was able to help him at his clinic, and it brought me an income. And then it also allowed me to use some of the supplies that he had that I couldn't necessarily afford yet. So I was doing just on and off work for just maybe a handful of places at that time.
Man.
And then I never really advertised. Even then, I just was word of mouth because I really wanted it to be people who were like-minded to the people that we were currently working with. So they would recommend us, and then we would get another client. And then after 2 years of that, I was like, this is getting to the point where I can't work mixed animal 2 days a week anymore.
Right. Yeah. So with that, I want to see how this correlates from what you learned from Fossil Rim to being in Africa, and then now your day to day. So what were like the aspects you learned from, I guess, just the Americas and Africa, and how do you implement both of those today? A quick thank you to our sponsors, Swing Free Alliance. They are a nonprofit working to educate the public about the primates trafficking crisis and the truth about those cute spider monkeys that you see on social media. They also support ethical primate rehoming and sanctuary development. Swing Free Alliance, because primates deserve to swing free. If you want to learn more, check out their link in our bio below. We all know that social media is king. If you're looking to have a better presence on social media, but also looking for convenience, contact us today and we can show you our 3 pre-made social media packages, and we can show you that we have a custom social media calculator. You can adjust how many times that you want to post, how many reels, how many meetings you want to have with us, and we can even pull reports, and it'll spit out a custom price just for you. So if you want to be present on social media, you want convenience, and you want to look professional, contact Droptine Studios today, and we would love and be honored to help you with your social media.
Yeah, so in Africa, obviously the cost of the animals is different, so the way that we capture them is different, some of the species. So over there, I learned a lot about immobilization practices, right? So they had thiofentanyl, they had carfentanil in the very beginning, atorphine. So I learned a lot more about the drugs and the use of the medications there, and also the rancher mentality, like what it takes to work with some of these people or to show up in a way that makes them feel like you're part of their vision and their program. And so I have a really great mentor from there named Sean Beverly. He's also an incredible person, and he really shaped the way that I practice medicine as far as like the herd dynamic and treating the individual patient, like what our limitations are as exotics practitioners. And then at Fossil Rim, I learned more about the herd dynamics in a captive setting and how that looks different than the ranches in South Africa, and how we manage them here is similar, but we're not Africa. So there's a little bit of a different expectation on how we manage these populations outside of their native countries. So I think the two of those really merge well together because it's taking both aspects and like really blending it into the way that we practice and the way that we see the animals here and the way that we treat them as a herd, or what the service that we're providing to the owner.
Absolutely. Well, I know most of the time when you go to Africa, you're not allowed to bring anything back, but it sounds like you brought a husband back.
I did bring a husband back.
So can you tell me the story of why you were in Africa, why he was in Africa, and I guess tell me your story of how y'all met.
Yeah. So I was over, it was right after my first year of vet school. I went to Africa for a month to go visit my friend Sean Beverly and just help him. Basically, I was like, I'll just take your notes and do whatever and be free help to you. And so I went over there with him. We got hired to do a massive dehorning project for some rhinos, and that's always a really big undertaking from like a staffing perspective because it takes a lot of hands to do that when you're moving rhinos. So he enlisted the help of a friend who's also a veterinarian who runs a program that people can come to learn and do work with. So Ian, my husband, was on that tour that we invited to help us.
But
And-
wasn't your husband at the time?
No, not my husband at the time, just a random stranger. But he is from Australia. So he actually took like a sabbatical to go over and do this because he really thought he would end up living in Africa and working there too. So he's a wildlife biologist, originally from Australia, went to Africa to pursue his dream of exotic animal capture and management. When I showed up with Sean, he assumed that I was like Sean's wife or something, or I don't know. So he was nice to me, but definitely like, oh, she's the vet's wife or whatever. So later he found out that I wasn't. He was like, oh. So then he's like, hey, like, what, you're in vet school? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in vet school at A&M in Texas. And he's like, well, maybe I want to go to vet school one day. Like, can I get your number so I can like ask you more about it?
Good job, Ian.
So I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, you know, for vet school purposes. And so we exchanged information. And then he started texting me while he stayed in Africa for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So while he was there, we were texting. So this was like in the summer, we texted all the time. And vet school is very intensive and it was very hard for me. So I really didn't have a lot of free time. So for me, dating wasn't really an option in vet school. I just was like, I need to succeed at this and I have to really apply myself. So it was good for me because I got to know Ian through text messaging. And so we just messaged all the time and our time clocks were different. So when I was up late studying, he was just waking up. And so we were able to stay in communication. And then he was like, hey, I want to come to America and like take you on a date, which is insane. But yeah, that's what he did. He flew over and I was like, what if we don't like each other? We can just be friends. And we were both really nervous.
He was like, no, I'm going to marry you.
Yeah. I honestly, though, when we first met, like he messaged his sister like the day after we met and was like, I think I just met like my future wife.
Wow.
And it was really hard at the time because we didn't know what that would look like. And as soon as he came over and we like met again in person, it was like instant. Like we knew that we were meant to be together, but we had like very different trajectories at the time. So he went back to Africa. So we did long distance for like almost my entire vet school, where he was in South Africa and then back in Australia on and off. And we would rarely get to see each other very often. So we're like, what are we doing? Like, what does our future look like if we can't even be in the same country?
Right.
Thank God COVID didn't happen during that time. But
yeah, because I went to y'all's website and stuff and reading it. Y'all got married in 2019.
Yep.
So how did y'all decide to live in Texas versus living
in Africa? For me, it was that I felt like we could do exotics in a safer place in Texas, and the environment in Africa really changed after we were there. And I didn't feel like it was going to be a place that was going to be sustainable for us long term, which is sad because I really do love the country and I thought that I could see myself being there. But we thought it would just be better to build what we're doing in Texas. And so exotics are in Texas. We'll, put our roots down and see what we can do. And originally he was doing like wildlife biologist work in Texas, not doing exotics really. And then after the exotics practice got really busy, I was like, you're going to need to quit your job because I can't do this by myself. So right after our wedding, he like came on full time for the business.
Nice. So that's another thing I've talked to people about on here is they're very passionate about what they do. They go to school to be a vet, a wildlife biologist, whatever it may be, but they didn't really have much practice in school of running a business. How has that been of going from a passion of being a veterinarian and then now running your own company?
Incredibly challenging. Like the things about, school, they offer an MBA, but I didn't do it because I'm like, I'm not going to own a business. Like I'm not going to, a lot of people don't think that's what they're going to end up doing. And so for me, I was like, I'm not going to own a business. Like I'll work for somebody. And then as you start to see like business practices, you're like, I think I would do that differently. But you're not the boss. So you're like, I can't do it differently. And you start to think about, well, what if I did it this way? Or what if we created something that did it in a way that we feel is like reaching a higher level?
Right.
And so we're like, how hard could it be? Turns out the medicine is the easy part and the business part is the hard part. To me anyways, because now you're like a CPA and like bookkeeping and taxes and all of these things, payroll and health insurance. And you're starting to look at things that maybe you didn't really understand at first. And now I'm like reading books for dummies and scouring the internet for recommendations. And the things that scared me in the beginning aren't the things that scare me anymore.
Right.
Because it's just things that if you want it bad enough, like you'll figure it out.
Right.
And I wanted it bad enough that I was like, I will do whatever it takes. I'll stay up. I'll go to a class. I'll learn it online, but I'm going to figure out how to make it work.
Right. Yeah. Cause that was my thing is I always said I was more of a business person first and then did the media side, but actually getting into this and being more of an agency then, because it's a whole lot different when I'm just running and doing taxes and paperwork for myself, much less for 10 people. And now I'm like, oh, like I've said this too many times on the podcast, but I'll go into Daniel's office sometimes and he's like, what's up? And I was like, I need to edit a video. I'm tired of these meetings and paperworks and other things. And it's just like, it's so draining. Cause again, I started this cause I never want to sit behind a desk. I do that 90% of the time. Yeah. All the time sitting behind a desk or doing something, but it's still fun. I still love to go out and try to do those things. But even doing all these trade shows, I'm looking at it going like, man, I need to get back and work because I'm still an employee of the company too. I'm not just a boss. And so, yeah, it's always interesting hearing people's backgrounds and learning about what that is because it is hard, especially when you start out and then you can't really afford to hire a professional just to do your taxes and can't afford to. But one thing I did was I always tried to do that because if I did my own taxes, I would be in jail. I'd be like, oh, the government owes me $300,000.
Yeah. At one point, I'm like, can we build a home gym and like write this off? And we're like, okay, that's like maybe.
You have to pick up a bongo and they're heavy.
Yeah,
right?
I know, right? It's like training. Everyone from the company can use the home gym,
100%.
Yeah. Those like the things that as a business owner that are hard now, I'm like, I really love it. Like, I think it's so challenging, but to me, I'm always like, I like being a high performer and I like to work with other high performers. And there's always so much that interests me about the way that people do business and the way that businesses run and why certain businesses are successful. And that I think is a special mindset though, because not everybody feels that way. But I'm like, I'll look at something and be like, wow, I wonder how that person built that brand and like what they did, how they started. And then I'm like Googling these things to figure out like, wow, that like really was a grassroots operation that just like took off. And I just find business really fascinating and I really like trying to be good at it. Right. To the best of my ability.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's even like we had Macy Ledbetter on yesterday. When you're listening to this podcast, probably be weeks from now. But like we went to lunch and I was asking like, well, how did you start? Because when he left his practice with wherever he was at, overnight had 40 clients. And he was like, I called all of them. And back then he was like, I couldn't text or email or whatever. So I'm calling each one individually going, I don't know what I'm going to charge you, but I will charge you something. We'll figure it out together.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we built our entire company off transparency is a lot of people said we're too expensive. I'm like, well, it can't be. My books are full. Like just because you think I'm expensive, but
that is 100% the same thing with us is like good vet care is expensive.
Right.
Like you will pay for good vet care, but you will pay more for bad vet care.
Right.
Like it may not be a financial that you're going to pay, but you're going to pay more.
Well, and that's the aspect. I mean, I have so many cheesy one-liners, but it's like cheap is nice till you do it twice.
Yeah.
And so being able to bring someone out, but especially with what y'all do, it's like we'll get asked questions all the time. It's like, hey, you go to so many ranches. What do they pay their ranch hands? I'm like, no ranch owner just opens up his P&Ls with me and been like, look at this. What do you think?
Yeah.
But I said to a point, if you can hire, it's nice if you can hire someone and mold them into who you want to be on the ranch.
Yeah.
But it's going to cost you some. You'll save some money. But I was like, well, how much is it if your ranch manager doesn't know how to save a bongo cow that just gave birth? Now, they're not a vet, but if they have 15 years of experience on an exotic ranch, it's worth something.
If they drive by a sick animal 5 times and then they see it later and you're like, oh, it was sick 5 days ago.
Right.
Like the people that you hire or your boots on the ground are just as important as anybody else on your team.
Absolutely. So mentioning of teams, I kind of want to hear a little bit because we said it yesterday prepping for this podcast, but it's like we really don't know each other.
Yeah.
And so we've had 1 or 2 phone calls in the past, but kind of walk me through your company. You're obviously a veterinarian, but walk me through your staff, your services, and what you offer to ranch owners.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked because I love to talk about our team because I think that they're some of the most amazing people that I know. And I'm really proud of what we've created in the industry and the people that we have that work for us. They're all very incredible people. When I first started, like I obviously never thought I would own a business that had like multiple employees that I would be managing or seeing, over the industry. So that's been a really been a great honor that people would believe in what we're doing enough to want to work with us like that. And so when we first started, the first employee that we hired was obviously Ian, which is biased because, you know, he's my husband.
Employee.
But yeah, best employee. So that was awesome because Ian was always available because we were always together. We saw the demand growing. And for me, one of the most important things about the business is knowing when you have to expand, because no man is an island or no woman is an island. I knew that I couldn't do it by myself with how much work that we were getting, and I wasn't going to be able to give the clients the care that they needed with how many people we had under our roster. And so I was like, we have to be thinking 5 years ahead already. And so the first employee after Ian was Kerrigan Weibel, who's our veterinary technician. And she came and shadowed me in my mixed animal days. So she wanted to do exotics. And I was like, well, if you want to be good at exotics, you got to be good at mixed animal first. Right. So I said, you can come do exotic stuff with me, but 2 days a week, you're going to come to the clinic and you're going to work there with me and you're going to learn about domestic species. And after she did her externship with us there, I hired her full time with EWVS. And now her family has a ranch. So she does a lot of the like management on that property as well and still works with EWVS. Then after that, it was Dr. Love. He came from Florida. He is one of the smartest people I've ever met. He is incredibly knowledgeable. He's going to sit for his zoo board soon. So he has like a zoo background. He did a residency program for zoo medicine. He knows so much about so many species. Like he can quote all these just insane facts about like, oh, sharks? Yes. Like, oh, did you know about orcas? And actually, did you see this paper published and, you know, whatever? So he has been an incredible asset to our program because he offers like a very niche interest in zoo medicine. So we do care for like a lot of zoological facilities and offer services to sanctuaries and unique species of animals that other places don't house or breed. So he brings like a really fun dynamic with his personality, but also with his background and education. And then after David was Colby Ayler. He is our capture specialist. He is one of the just most down-to-earth people, and our clients really love him because he is calm under pressure, and he just is really, there's people that just have it, like the it factor with animals that are like, they can read a situation and they can say like, we need to push the animals this way, and just kind of know what to do in situations of capture. And so implicitly, like him and Ian, like I trust them with our lives every day. And that's a special type of person to be able to do this type of work in a way that's safe for everybody. And Colby and Ian are both really good at that. So we got Colby. He is the best. We do a lot of long car rides together, all of our teams, so we get team bonding. And then, yeah, I
looked over at Daniel.
Team bonding, also known as trauma bonding. Yeah. So yeah, our team's very trauma bonded. So that's why like we all are insane. And then after David we hired Dr. Gully, who she was our first vet intern. And we hired her because at the time we weren't sure really if we were at a point to hire someone else, but we're like, well, we're getting like more people that are interested in us and we want to be able to offer more, and David's filling up. And so we hired Dr. Gully, and it was important to us that we could train somebody, like even if they didn't have, like she had a great foundation, but like as far as what we're doing in veterinary medicine with, you know, the opioids and the dosing and all that, we wanted to shape her into someone that we thought could really be a leader in the industry. And she's done an incredible job. We trained her for 1 year, and then we gave her a full-time offer. And then we just hired our second vet intern, which is Dr. Horswell, and she's with us for 6 months. And she's been really awesome. She's been here since January. And then we're hoping to possibly be hiring our next veterinarian in the summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard for me too to go from, especially I'm sure it's your practice, your baby, you have a certain standard, and that's where I was. I held everything so close to the chest for so long. And it's kind of, I mean, we tell the same thing with our clients when they're trying to do marketing. It's hard to describe of like, hey, we don't guarantee sales, but here's the formula how to do it. We still don't guarantee it. But it's like, if you don't spend enough and you don't have enough employees or ad spend or whatever, it's almost kind of harder to grow rather than like just tripling your team or tripling your ad spend, because it's a race to the top.
Yep.
And we've noticed the more we grow, especially for me, like my goal last year is I wanted to be at home as much as possible. And so that's another reason we ask objectives, whether it's in your practice or my business, is I go, well, if I saw me trying to go out and get more clients last year as an objective, which they naturally came, but my objective is to be home, because running that business and growing it from the ground up, like I have a very patient wife and I could not have built this. And I don't know if I've ever told the story on there, but the short nugget of it is when we got married, I met a stranger on the internet 3 months after we got married, and he moved in with us because he couldn't afford to live in San Antonio, but I needed someone, and he lived with us for 18 months. And so for the first 2 years of our marriage, we had a stranger living with us for 18 months, and we only lived together for 3 months.
That is awesome.
So, which is wild, full circle, because I actually had a conversation with him earlier this week about bringing him on again because we need another person. But anyway,
does he get to live with you again, or
probably not?
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, now that we have kids, he probably wouldn't want to live with us.
Yeah.
But now that, like, talking about that, it's crazy to watch as the owners of being like, and can I afford an employee, or can I literally not afford to not hire someone?
Yeah.
And so, and then watching that growth just continue to grow, the more people you have is really rewarding. Because even here, like, Grayson's off today, but like yesterday he was editing more videos. And because me and Daniel, we've been here the longest, but like making sure that our projects don't cease. Rachel sending out contracts. I come in, they're like, hey, I've already set up all these meetings on your calendar. It's like, oh, that's so nice, because I had to be the one doing it.
Yeah.
I literally would do the administration stuff.
Oh yeah, I hired an assistant. 5. We have an assistant. And that's been game changer. So I'm like invoicing and all these things that I used to come home and be like, oh, now I have to do like 5 hours of invoice review.
Right.
Love that for me.
Yeah. And that's, if I could look back to anyone, anywhere, my number one hire I wish I would have done as an office girl.
Yes.
A long time ago.
Yeah. That is, I think, is like my veterinarian, like they're all amazing, but like the office stuff is like that small, tedious stuff that if you don't stay on top of it, it's a mountain.
Right.
And then you're like, how am I ever going to tackle this mountain?
Yeah. Yeah. Rochelle, she's our HR, but she's also my neighbor and we're good friends. And when I brought her on to our little company, she would like freak out because she'd be like, why is your aging report more than 6 figures times a bunch? And I was like, they're farm and ranchers. They'll pay me eventually. She's like, when did you do this work? I'm like,
we should start a
6
support
months
group
ago
for our office staff, because that's exactly, they're like, your accounts receivable is like, I'm like, they'll pay. They just are just difficult to get a hold of. And they've got all these all these things that they have to do to get them payment. And so she's like, your accounts receivable is like crazy. And I'm like, well, we should get that paid down probably.
100%. And we'll have, and like, we don't mind, because I'll talk to clients. It's much, much better now. We almost, like, thank God it's not much at all. And I think part of it has been a respect thing, but it's also just been follow up.
Yeah.
So I tell people, it's like, they're not doing it on purpose, most of them.
Yeah.
But
we've never had someone not pay their bill. So for us, it's nice. Like, that like, it's been great. So we've never, it was just more of like getting to the right avenue, or the person that needs to see the bill to pay the bill, because it's like, oh, you have to send that to our accounting office, which is in a different state. And so then, but then if you don't have the time for the follow up, then you just don't get paid. And then you're like, I'll add that to the mountain. Right. I'll get there.
Yeah. And I'm thankful that now, after we've built, because this industry is so close knit, and they also keep everyone at arm's length. And then once they don't, they like embrace you. So it's nice that we built this relationship now, that they're like, hey, I'm the reason you don't get paid. I'm supposed to forward this to Susie or whoever. And it's like, just here's her email. You just send them to them. I trust you now. Like, I don't have to review them. And I'm like, but it's honoring, because they're like, I don't know, I feel like they get screwed a lot of times running multiple businesses. And I'm like, we just want to get paid. Like, I've quite literally never invoiced for anything we didn't do.
Yeah.
So it's nice that they trust us enough now.
Once you get that face time with the client and they know who you are, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that I didn't pay you on time.
Right.
Yeah. Like, we're a small business. So I'm like, I mean, we need to be able to be paid to be able to pay our employees. And now it's not just about me. It's about all these other people that work for us that depend on us to financially support themselves. Yeah.
I have a friend that he now will call people if they don't pay their invoice and be like, do you not want my daughter to eat?
Me too. I will like call them and I'm like, hey, so did you like change your email or something? Like, I've just been trying to pay you. And, you know, we're actually supposed to come out next week, but I think we're not going to be able to do that unless you pay your bill. And they're like, oh my God, we'll pay it immediately.
Yeah, we have some clients we make pay up front now, which is fine, but it's the same way that they want to trust us, we have to trust them too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really nice to be able to grow that in this industry, because once you're, like you said, once you're in, you're in. Yeah. And it's really nice to be able to, it's honoring.
Yeah, it is. And I have always said, and will say forever, that the exotics industry is by far, to me, the best industry in the world. Like, we have the best people. It's the best culture. I would never be able to do anything else. Yeah. Like, this is just the most incredible, like, the job that we get to do every day is, I love my job. Like, there's not anything else in the world I'd rather be doing.
Absolutely. So what else about your business makes you guys different, makes you unique versus, because there's not a ton of people in the industry doing it, but what makes you unique specifically to your company?
I think the big thing is that we have such a big team. So, like, we really can offer, like, a lot of support, and we're not just veterinarians. Like, we have different facets that we can do within our program, like with Colby and with, having Kerrigan. And to me, it's that, like, knowing that it's not just one person. Like, when you have us out and you are one of our clients and you have an issue, like, I'm going to send whoever is closest to you. Like, we're going to figure out how to make it happen for you. So I think that's the big thing, is the support. So, like, if David takes 2 weeks off because he wants to go visit his family, I'm like, great. Like, Dr. Gully and I will cover whatever happens while you're gone.
Right.
And I think for me, that was one of the biggest bonuses for people in our program, is that we have veterinarians available. And we have support. So it's not just for veterinary. Like, if you need help, like looking at your feed or looking at your parasite program or whatever have you, we will figure out a way to make that work for you or make it happen for you. So for me, I think it's the support, like just having multiple people that we're trying to build up in this industry to really help the demand and to really elevate the standard of care that historically has been hard to reach because of the lack of veterinarians in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah, we asked that a lot of, like, when Dr. Sam was on and everything else, we're just like, why is there not? And he's like, I just don't think people know.
Yeah.
And so hopefully with stuff like this, we can try to push this out. Or I'd be curious too to talk after when we go to lunch, just to be like, how can we send this? Because we tell everyone we have a pretty good following in the industry, but we only have our following. And so how can we take social clips for y'all to post, or how can we send it out through your e-blast or to your clients or to A&M? Be like, hey, can y'all send this out to your students to watch or whatever? Because I think the biggest thing is people just know. And like,
and it's barrier to entry.
100%.
Like, you're not going to get if a new vet comes to your ranch and you're like, can you sedate this bongo? And they're going to be like, which one's the bongo? You're going to be like, you can leave.
Right.
Like,
100%.
or what do you recommend I use for the sedation of the animal? I mean, the barrier to entry is high because the risk is high.
Right.
So that's why we did the internship program, because we're like, I can't send somebody who's not qualified to a ranch and expect them to take it seriously if our veterinarians are like, this is my first one. Hope it goes well. Like, you're not going to have us come back.
Right.
So I think it's the barrier of entry. Like, you just can't go somewhere and just be like, hey, I'm going to just try it out and see if I'm any good at it. And that's just not how this industry is going to allow that to happen. Yeah.
You'd be cooked with every ranch because they're going to call everyone and be like, hey, this person.
Yes. And it's such a small industry. Like, everybody knows everything about, like, there's the underground channels and the tunnels.
Right.
And so, like, people know when things don't go well. And, like, I mean, everybody, like, it would get out very quickly if you're like a new grad that's like, hey, I'm going to go, knock down all these animals and try to figure it out.
Right. So if anyone's listening, do y'all still offer, are y'all taking more interns, or how does that work?
So we're currently going to look at accepting an intern, a veterinary intern, so like a qualified veterinarian, for a year program starting in the summer. So that's the one position that we're looking to fill. Right now, we don't have any like a full-time associate positions. We are not actively taking students all the time, that we get asked that all the time because we're on the road a lot. We're in hotel rooms, we're flying places, we are going to people's ranches that we have to stay at. So it's really hard for us to be able to blanket offer externships to students. So it's not that we don't want students to be here.
Right.
It's that we have limited space in the vehicles. We have to go like out of the state often. And we have to stay, in hotels a lot of the time. And that can just be hard to have a student around for all of those things.
Right.
So we are trying to offer, like, we are considering like doing like an application process to accept like 2 to 3 students at certain points during the year. So we're still trying to figure out how to make that work because we want to be a part of like student education, but it has to be in a way that still works because we're still training interns too.
Right.
So we're training veterinarians. Then you have a vet student and a vet intern, and it just gets a little bit more complicated to give everybody what they're looking for in that situation.
Right. Well, if you're a vet student listening, just email her over and over and over again. It worked for her. So maybe you can send it.
Take my advice. Just keep emailing. And actually, students have done that. I will say, like, there's some tenacious ones out there that have like really reached out a lot. So,
that was even Macy, whenever he's 54, 53 now, but he said, maybe however old he is, he's in his 50s, but he said he applied to whatever position at Texas Parks and Wildlife back then 9 times before he got it. And he's like, I wouldn't stop. Yeah. He's like, I would ask him why I didn't get it. They would tell me you need this, this, and this. And I would go get a job doing that. And I'd come back like, well, a little more. So he just kept doing it. But I don't know. I think our team's pretty young, pretty tenacious going through. There's definitely still young parts of them, but that is almost every employee. Like I met Daniel through his sister. She used to shoot weddings with me. And then Rachel reached out through Instagram. Grayson reached out through Instagram. Lauren, who used to work here, she just emailed over and over and over again. Tyler messaged me on Facebook.
You're like, I either need to hire you or get a restraining order at this point.
Well, and I told everyone, I was like, and please don't do this now because we're not yet, unless you're a graphic designer. But like we didn't even have, like we just put out a job application for another graphic designer, but I think it's just a testament to what we're doing on social media. Yeah. But we had over 30 people last year reach out. It's like, are you hiring in literally any position in your company?
I'll be a door greeter.
Yeah. Which if we ever open it up, we normally have to lock it where we're at 'cause people think we're like a shopping center and they're like, don't come in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, this industry's hungry and people want to be a part of it. And especially like doing what you do, there's only like 5, 6 people really. And there's people who try to do what we do, but again, not a full team. Yeah. And so people want to be a part of a team, even when guys go on jobs by themselves. So like, it's not the same when you're not like bantering back and forth or because we'll have some ranch owners that just like, here's what we need filmed or photographed or whatever. Here's your lodge. I'll see you in the morning. And then you sit there by yourself for 6 hours and you're like,
like half the fun is just like the camaraderie of like hanging out and being together and, getting to do the coolest job in the world. Yeah.
Then we have other ranchers like Cole Larson. We'll be talking and we'll look and it's like, oh, the feeder goes off in an hour. Should we even go to bed? It's like we need to go start filming for his hunting part of the ranch. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I love this industry more than anything. But then with your team, what makes you different? But what are you most known for in this industry?
I think that we've created a really big like giraffe clientele and a very big like giraffe presence. So that was something that we didn't really expect in the beginning, is just a species that we felt was really underrepresented as far as like, oh, just get a giraffe. Like they're easy. And turns out that's not true. And so we really like dug into this giraffe narrative of if we have giraffes, like how can we really be offering a better standard of care for them? And that's a species that we're really proud of the work that's been done within the private industry itself. Right. Like we've got like private giraffe owners conferences. Like we've got private owners funding insane conservation work in Africa because of the reach of the private industry. Just saying like, hey, how can we do better? How can we, change the standard of care for giraffes in captivity or in private hands? That's been like one of the funnest group of people to get to know is the private giraffe owners. They're hilarious. They're awesome. They're very passionate. So that's been a really proud thing for us to be a part of is really raising the standard of care for the privately owned giraffe community. And offering this conference and making sure that we have a presence there to answer questions about should we be immobilizing giraffes? And if so, like what's best practices on how to do that? And that's something that we are really comfortable with having that conversation because of how many we are honored to get to work with. Right. So that I think that's one that we're really proud of is our mega vertebrate presence, like with rhinos and hippos and the specialty species that I think are a little bit more difficult to understand or know. Like Dr. Love is one of the most prolific rhino, tapir, hippo vets in the world. Like he's touched more hippos and like done more with a pygmy hippo species than anybody. So he like wrote the care manual for them. Like not a lot is known about that species even in captivity. So I think those are the things that we really find that we get called about a lot and that we get a lot of questions for, because that's not something that's really common. And those are species that are a little bit more difficult to manage than just your hoof stock.
Right.
Obviously, like, we do some reproductive work. So I think that's one of the things that more recently we've been doing it for a long time, but we're just not super public about it.
Right.
So I think the reproductive projects that we're doing are something that we're becoming more known for, or people are talking about more. And just our hoof stock, like, we do so much hoof stock anesthesia and immobilization, and we feel we're like very proficient at it.
Right. Pause on the podcast. This is an ad. Did you know that Droptine Studios offers a plethora of different services that can benefit your business? Yes, we offer photos, videos, but did you know that we offer website design, graphic design, print materials, and social media management? Even if you're not a sponsor of this podcast, it would tremendously help us if you would hire us for our normal services that my company offers. So go to droptimestudios.com and let's talk about how our company can benefit yours. So that's what you're known for. What are your 3 favorite species to work with?
Absolutely bongo. Like, bongo are just, like, I can just sit and watch a bongo herd all day. Like, they're just incredibly magical, and they're just one of the most unique species. Like, I could just talk to strangers about how incredible bongo are. And so they're probably my top hoof stock species to work on. I've really become a huge fan of giraffes. At first, when I first started, they made me so nervous because there's all this, like, they cost so much money and people are like, they have these big personalities. And now I've really grown to really love working on them because they're a unique challenge, but they don't stress me out the way that they used to. Because I think we've just come to an understanding about inherent risk with giraffe. But just being able to elevate their care has made me grow like a lot more fonder of that species. And rhinos, I mean, they're like, white rhinos are like golden retriever puppies. They're like, scratch me and feed me food and tell me I'm pretty.
Right.
So those 3 are like, if I could just work on those 3 species all the time, I'd be great.
Right. And then one thing I want to ask, especially because all 3 of those are expensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I used to dart animals on my ranch and to be able to take care of them, I kind of always had the mindset of like, treat every animal with the same dollar value. Like,
yeah.
Do you do that as a professional doing it? Because I told myself that, and I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But it made me
Animals
calm down.
Do not know how much they're worth. Like, that's what we tell owners. Like, you can tell me all day what your animal is worth, and I can tell you what I can practically do with it, whether it's a cow, a goat, a sheep, like whether it's worth $0 or whether it's worth $500,000.
Right.
So for us, like, the money part isn't even the part, like, now, like, that doesn't even stress us out anymore. Like, of course, it's like that, like, understanding, like, hey, this animal's worth has a high financial value. Doesn't change the way that I can practice veterinary medicine or what I can practically do for that animal in a situation where it's sick.
Right.
So we have to, we're like, well, the thing about animals is the more expensive they are, the more likely they are to want to die. And that's why they're endangered. So. Yeah.
And that's another thing is I always ask ranch owners, more specifically in this case, when they're out in the pasture, like my absolute favorite, I've chased 70, 80 species of exotics on camera and it's super cool, but whitetail born out in the pasture is my favorite by far.
Yeah.
And I'll find ranches that just have big bodied, big antlered, beautiful whitetail. And I'm like, how do you do that? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, don't care about them. He's like, because as soon as I care about them, they're going to get sick or get pneumonia and then they're going to die and they're out in the ranch. So I can't do anything. And
I brought my brother to a ranch that we work on and we're like showing him these, like, this is a bongo. He's like, that whitetail is amazing. It's incredible. And I'm like,
look at this bongo though.
Yeah, but look at the kudu and the bongo and stuff. And he's like, but that whitetail, it's incredible.
Yeah.
He still talks about the whitetail. He was like, can I take pictures of the whitetail? And I'm like, what? So yeah, I get it. Like, for me, I was like, the whitetail, I just think those are like probably an underappreciated animal on a lot of people's ranches when they have other things. But there are some amazing whitetail out there on some of these free roaming ranches that are thriving because nobody is looking at them.
Right.
That's the key.
Well, and that's what I've always I always say your first ranchers are most expensive, and I wish that if I ever go back and do it again, I would probably keep my whitetail and exotic separate.
Yeah.
Just to be like, kind of like when you're driving to be like Jurassic Park. It's like, this is the exotic pasture.
Yeah.
This is
with the music.
whitetail
You have to play
pasture.
the music as you're driving in.
Because like you see a buck like this standing next to a kudu. It's like, oh, he's cool, big, but like that's huge.
Yeah.
And so just being able to take it in. But yeah, that's one thing I would do different. But all right, we talked about your 3 favorite. What are the 3 most troublesome or ones you don't like to work with, species wise?
I'm like a very big advocate of this, like of one species that I'm like, this species is my arch nemesis. It's like Nile lechwe. They are very difficult anesthetic patients. They're very high stress animals. They're like every zoo vet and veterinarians, like even just people in the industry that catch them know. Like, Nile lechwe are like the species that is hard for everybody.
Man.
Yeah. So they're my arch nemesis. I'm still trying to figure them out. I think there's things about them that we just don't really understand about their physiology. But they're a very stress prone animal.
Right. Is that like do you think that's like a lechwe thing? Like the species
the reds
of it?
The reds aren't like that. It's just the Niles.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they're a species that I really struggle with, like as far as getting the anesthesia correct and right. And it doesn't sound like there's a lot of people out there that have that mastered, like even from like a zoo perspective. So they're a species that I find hard to be able to manage really well. I mean, I really like, that's really the one that I'm like.
Yeah, I don't like working with zebras.
Well,
I've said that a couple times on here.
Zebras without sedation are far better living through pharmaceuticals. So zebras with like inappropriate sedation or like half awake zebras and zebras, and when they decide they want to be a problem, we say zebras are homicidal and suicidal. Like that's their like 2 goals in life. There's going to be some zebra lovers out there that are not going to like that. But yeah, they're like, don't talk about it. Right. But, actually, another chimpanzees are really cool, like socially dynamic animals that are just cool to watch, but anesthetizing them, scary as shit.
Yeah, I've heard they freak out.
Yeah. They're difficult anesthetic patients because like when you're working on them, they can like rouse. And we've had situations where that has happened. And Dr. Gully had her Apple Watch on one time and we were working on a chimp and it sat up on the table. Everybody runs. All the vets jump on it and we're like, get the ketamine. And her Apple Watch tracked her heart rate up to like 175 or something in the moment that it happened. It was like plateaued and then it was like, ping. So they're terrifying, but they're one of the animals that we like are really privileged to get to care for because they're really underrepresented as far as like people willing to do that type of work. So it's very humbling to get to be that close to them, but they're very terrifying, especially if they were to wake up or escape or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're one that love to admire them from afar, but when they have a medical issue that requires anesthesia, it's like an all hands on deck. Like everybody's there for that.
Well, you just spoke at EWA, correct?
Correct.
I wanted to be there, but I couldn't. So for the audience, but mainly for me, can you kind of walk through what you spoke about there? And I know you can't speak for a whole hour on it right now, but can you kind of give us...
But I would.
We've got time.
No.
But I'd like to know what you spoke about and then kind of give like a aerial view over questions you were asked or things that you just want the audience to hear.
Yeah, I can give you the Sparks Notes version because I'm passionate and long-winded about parasites. A lot of what I'm asked to talk about is intestinal parasites in ruminant species or hoofstock species because it's like an untouched category that I found that people don't really talk about, or they didn't, now they do. And so for me, I like to give this presentation because I think there's some nuances in the industry that need to be stopped or outdated practices. And so I think the biggest takeaways are if you have expensive animals that are parasite prone, like giraffes or sable and roan, you need to think about how you're going to manage that population, or you have to understand there's inherent risk in not managing that population for parasites. So that's like, are you going to do fecal monitoring, or you're just going to know that inherently at some point someone in your group is going to get parasites and you have to be able to identify that before you have an issue. So I think that was one of the big things is like making a plan for what you believe is going to work or what you want to work on your facility. And that's an individual preference for each ranch of how they want to manage that type of situation. The other one that is the big takeaway is that we can't treat every single animal. Like that's just such an outdated practice that we've got to really, and every time I give this presentation, I always hope that one day I'll give it and somebody won't come up to me and say that I've been doing this. That hasn't happened. So I will still give that presentation every time just for that one person that it could help to be like, now I understand, like not just saying that to people. You can be like, hey, don't feed dewormer through your food 4 times a year because it doesn't help, isn't helpful to them. Like you really have to understand the parasite dynamic to understand why that's not a good idea. And so I think that's what the presentation helps illustrate is it's giving like examples. Like I use like real world examples of like basically like pictures and graphics to show them what happens when you treat all the animals in a herd and why that doesn't work. And there's an idea called refugia, which is the population of worms that's not treated by the dewormer, has never seen a dewormer. And that's, you're breeding those worms. You want refugia from resistance so that you can actually have animals that when they have a problem with parasites, you can deworm them and it will work. And if we keep exposing all the worms to dewormers, we're not going to have anything left to use. And then future generations of ranchers and your kids are not going to have animals to appreciate and love and manage because we mismanaged them for so long.
Yeah, that's what you talk about being old practice. That's what I was taught to do.
Yeah, and switch your dewormer.
Yep.
Like switch it up. Do it in your food every quarter. And there's still like some zoos that even still will email us and they're like, this is how we manage giraffes. And I'm like,
yeah, please don't.
Yeah, please don't do that. So for me, it's like, it's also when people say they do that, it's like not treating them like they're stupid, right? Like a lot of the things in this industry that happen are not because people are trying to do the wrong thing. It's because they have the wrong information and they feel like they're doing the right thing.
Right.
So to me, it's all about education. It's about explaining things in a way that's like, hey, we're on the same team. I'm not here to make you feel stupid. I'm here to educate you in the way that's going to be the best for your ranch, for your animals, for the survival of this population that could potentially be the only one left in the world if something were to happen to them in the wild. That's why it's important. Like, it's not just like you're going to sell a sable for $60,000 next month. It's like, well, what if these animals are going to be representative of a bigger picture 100 years from now?
Right.
It matters.
So what are other old practices that people in this industry are doing besides putting wormer in their feed every quarter?
Oh, man. I got to think on that one. I mean, besides the deworming, I think one of the practices that is really hard for me to sometimes wrap my brain around is using certain drug protocols on species that maybe isn't necessarily the standard of care or that is unsafe. Like for me, in our team and what we do, human safety is the number one priority for us. There is not an animal alive that is more important than the life of any person on any team out there in this industry.
Right.
Not even if it's someone that doesn't like me or I don't like that, whatever. I never want to see somebody get hurt or killed. And to me, that is the most important thing our industry needs to understand. And so we can't keep asking these young kids to do dumb shit because that is someone's child. Like that's somebody's kid. Are you going to explain to their family that you let them do something dangerous and it got them killed? I mean, that to me is just such a big argument for our industry to understand is that we have a duty to the future generations to say what is safe and not safe in this industry and doing it right and doing it well and using some of these drug protocols and seeing, I mean, we see the videos, like we see pictures, like we see Snapchats, like we see what people are doing and they're like, oh, it's so funny. And look at this guy getting his ass kicked. And I'm like, I mean, what if he died?
Right.
Would it be funny then? Like, would this be funny if the zebra bit someone's like arm in half, which has happened, right? So for me, I'm like, I'm very safety prone. So that's like the practice to me of people playing veterinarian, and I'm not saying people shouldn't have access to drugs, right? Like I'm saying that there's a practical need for this in our industry, but it needs to make sense for the species. And some of these animals are worth too much money for us to just be like throwing 5 different combinations at them and hoping that it works.
Right. Yeah, I've always had some concern of, man, there's too many things that people want to get a rush from.
Yeah.
Like go skydiving. Like,
yeah.
Like don't just hop on a bongo. Not that I've seen that happen, but like don't just go hop on a bongo because you can.
Yeah. And that's like, I don't know, like our team even, like we're big on safety. Hey, I don't think that animal is going to be safe for you to grab. Like, let's just bump it and like maybe get some more drugs into it and see where it's at.
Right.
Like for me, that's more important than we're never going to like muscle down some of these animals. Like some of these animals are just too strong, and better living through pharmaceuticals is the answer. Yeah, I think that I see a lot of that, and it bothers me because I think that more people get hurt than is talked about, but it's going to be a big deal when people die. I mean, that's going to be talked about.
Yeah.
And you don't think we're going to lose the ability to do this if people die?
Right. Well, and I've always said just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Or it works until it doesn't. I love that one. That's an Adam Ayers one. He's like, it works for some people. Like you see someone do it and you're like, I'm going to do that. And then you do it and it doesn't go the same way.
Right. Yeah. We, many, many years ago, we darted some eland on our place and we had a huge bull and we were guessing on how much to get him down with. And we threw a drone up and he was behind a tank dam and we're like, yeah, he looks like he's down. This before drones could zoom in. Or I was like, well, I don't want to fly too low.
It was fuzzy. We were like, we think he's down.
Yeah. And so we turned the corner and I can't remember who it was, but it was some guy on a catch crew. And he went up and he wasn't a very big guy, but he went down to hold his head down. Well, as soon as he grabbed those antlers or the horns, that eland woke up.
Yeah.
Well, he stood up and the guy was like, I won't let him go. And he wrapped his legs around his neck and held onto his horns. And I was like, he's not that important. Let go. And he's like, I've got it. And later he tumbled, but I was like, thank God he fell on his side, not head over.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many things where, and I've been called profanities for backing out of things and doing things. And I'm just like, it's not worth. And especially once I had kids, I am way more cautious now. And I never thought I would be that way, but I'm like, it's not worth me doing something that was going to take 5 more minutes to do versus me not coming home to my wife and girls. I'm like, and
our team will be the first to tell you, like, I have like I am cool headed. Like I do not lose my temper, but the one thing that will is human safety. Like I'll lose my temper for that. Cause I'm like, no way. Like, and that's on me. Like, right. If I'm at a job and somebody gets hurt using my anesthesia protocols or my drugs and those animals, like that's going to be a big deal for me. Like, can I continue doing this work if somebody gets seriously injured on my watch?
Right.
So I think that's really important to me. And especially as I've gotten older, is like, I mean, we have these not kids. I mean, they're adults on our team, or these people that we are contracting to these companies to do capture work for them. I'm like, it's important to me that every person on this team is safe, whether they're on our team or your team.
Right. So that leading into it, what are a few things, or in your opinion, doesn't matter if it's 1 or 100, what are some things in this exotic industry that are missing? Whether it's education, collaboration, what do you think this industry is missing?
I think one of the main things that it's missing is like people understanding that we all want the same things. So it's just like everyone's like common enemy, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think there just could be a lot more teamwork, I guess, or like people like working more together towards a common goal for the client. It's like just sometimes this backstabbing, cutthroat, type of environment that I just don't think that's for the industry. And I don't think that's for the animals or the ranchers or what have you. And I think the big gap that's missing is 100% the veterinary side, right? You said there's 6 of us out here doing this. We have to start thinking about how this industry can do better by having more veterinarians that know how to do this or have the understanding of the industry in a way that can help people all over the state succeed.
Yeah, because I'm a firm believer in rising tides bring up all ships.
Yeah.
Like we've had some competitors and doing what we do, but I've even tried when I was by myself, reaching out to other people going, hey, it's better for us to work together than against each other.
Yeah.
Where I would have other people just naysaying and be like, oh, well, this guy and Austin are huge competitors. They hate each other. And I'm like, I've never even met the dude.
Yeah.
Like I would like drive by his house and I'd called him one day and I was like, hey, can I stop by? He's like, for what? And I was like, to introduce myself.
Yeah.
Make sure if I hate you or not, because people say I do.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to say I hate you to your face.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we ended up liking each other. And then we were able to talk pricing and practices and how do we do this and what should we charge more for? And so that's why it's like, it helps everyone. And it does help the end user too, if your veterinarians are working together, because then, and they don't have to feel like they're competing for your business, but they're competing for the animal husbandry and being able to have that certain standard. But yeah, I'm a firm believer. Now, competition's good.
Yeah. When there's room for, right? This industry is small. Like there's still room for people in every facet of this industry to succeed.
Right. Yeah. I kind of wish we had more competitors just because it would show how well we perform.
Yeah.
But it also is one of those things, especially breeders, when they want to promote everything in velvet for the antlered species, you don't have much time.
Yeah.
And most of those breeders are like, I need you to film today and produce it tomorrow. And it's like, well, by the time if that guy screws up and we come out, he might strip his velvet. And so it's really time sensitive. Mm-hmm. And we just try to tell people, it's like, hey, I'm not going to like fight and convince you. Like if you want to talk about how we can help you, I'll do that. But I'm not going to try to convince you to do it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, our books are full, not consistently all the time, but it's there and we have proven things to show it. But ultimately, I do wish that we had more people, because then you can be like, man, I worked with this vet and it was not great. Not saying that about any of the people currently, but hypothetically, it's like I worked with them and it wasn't great. Now, how much more value does Brittni East have?
Yeah.
And so that's just a good part about that. But it also raises the standard. People have to work, especially with what you're doing. And I think everyone does have that industry standard that goes, you have to have this current practice, not only for the animals, but how you treat the client.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And for us, like client collaboration and really getting to know our clients, like we don't really do a ton of advertising. Like we do social media and things like that, but we want our clients to tell other people that they like, hey, who do you use for your vet? Oh, we use Exotic Wildlife Vet Services, and we haven't had a single contract that has left us.
Right.
So I'm like, for us, that's important. Like we want our clients to tell other clients about us, so then we have word of mouth and like we want to work for like-minded people. But when we sit down with our clients, we're like, what's your vision? If your vision is to have a herd of Pure David and like you want it to be beautiful and magic for your wife to enjoy, great. I'm going to help you make that that's my dream. I love Pure David. But like we have people that are like, I don't want to spend a ton of money. I just want to have something that's like fun to look at and watch. So like we want to sit with those people and understand the vision of what they want to do. Like we're not just your veterinarian. We want to help you succeed in your dreams and your goals for your facility, and tell you the pitfalls of like, okay, so you want to get into sable. Here are some of the issues that can arise when you decide to get into sable. There's inherent risk, and it's like aggressive stocks is what we say. It's like, there's stocks and there's bonds. It's like the exotics industry is the stock market. How aggressive do you want to be?
Right.
You want to get into bonds, get Pure David. Like you want to get into, the more
crypto.
Crypto, get Cape Buffalo.
Right.
So I think for us, like, it's not just like the veterinary part. We want to partner with our clients. Like we really feel like the service that we want to add value to what they're doing, not just from the veterinary perspective, but being proactive with them and their approach to, hey, I think I want to buy a herd of this, or I want to bring this animal in, or what have you. We want to like be the person they're asking, like, how can I make this happen? Who should I call? And what should I, I'm going to get this animal from this person. Can you go check it out when they catch it, or, whatever they need from us? Like we are for the animal and for the client. Like we're not making money on animal sales. Like that's not what we do. So we're just, what's your vision? How does this add to your vision? Does it take away from the vision that you gave us? Are you changing the vision? That's really important to us. And I think clients really respect our team, because that's very important to our mission of what we're trying to do.
Right. So with that aspect going into the client side of things, what are some main practices you wish every ranch owner had a better understanding of, or that they just truly understood?
I wish that they would understand the value of a veterinarian proactively in their program, because a lot of people call us to put fires out. And we're like, hey, what if you could prevent some of these fires by having like a better preventative care program, or having like, we can go and say like, oh, I can see a couple of things that we could change or fix just proactively. And we've been doing more of that now. Like we have people that are like, can you just come and like kind of check it out and see what you think? Just another set of eyes. I wish more people would be proactive about that, because we get a lot of reactive calls, and those really suck, because when we go, it's like, this animal's really sick and it really needs a lot of help. And maybe it was something that proactively could have been prevented had they looked at their feed or analyzed the way that they were managing that program, or it had parasites and they could have done a fecal. Then when we're there, they're like, well, while you're putting out that fire, I also have like 6 other fires for you to look at. And that gets really hard for us, because that's every day of our lives are spent. Every single person's worst day is the veterinarian's day. So we get called every day. If you have a sable dying, someone has a bongo dying, someone has a sick giraffe, a giraffe in labor, a rhino that's colicking. So for us, every day is helping people put out fires. But if we can prevent the fires, that's really what I think the industry needs to understand, is some of these things are preventable. And if you can get ahead of it by like really looking at the way you're managing your program or what your goals are, you can succeed. If we can save you one bongo female from dying in the 4 years that you have us, is that not worth it?
Absolutely. Also, that's a great social clip. Cut that whole thing. That was really good.
Thanks.
But and that's a part of it of, I mean, even with what you're doing, that's marketing to your own clients, because you're like, don't think about how much I cost to be here. Think about how much it's going to cost you in 4 years from now if you don't do this.
Yeah.
And that's just the same thing. I tell clients, don't view it of what sales you're making today. Look at building your client repertoire for 4 years from now. So I love seeing that comparison of whether you're a veterinarian, talking about animal husbandry, and just being able to work with your owners, or marketing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all, and we say that all the time, but we say fix it in prep, not in post. And so it's the same thing that you're talking about, is like, if you just had this implemented, it's the same thing. We're working on a video right now and we're like, hey, we need to prep this now. What's a script? What's a shot list? Let's pre-plan this so we know what to do when we get on the job. And they're like, oh, y'all can just fix it later. And it's like, it's going to cost you 3 times as much, but sure, we'll do that.
Yeah.
But it also makes our life easier.
Yeah. And when we go places, we're like, hey, like, this is a Saturday now, and this is an emergency, and you knew about it earlier in the week and you didn't want us to come. So like, now it's going to cost you a lot more, and the animal's more compromised than it was 3 days ago when you didn't want me to come. So yeah, I mean, the preventative part is so important. And that's what the clients that we have are bought into that, because they see the value that it's added to their programs. Right.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And with that, let's talk about within the industry first. One of the questions I wrote was, what are some preconceived notions people have about the exotic wildlife industry, specifically people already in the industry?
So people in the industry.
Right. I'm going to also ask about the outside. Maybe I should have started with that one, but
yeah. I mean, are you saying like specifically like industry specific or like veterinary specific, or does it matter? Or?
Either or. Like, I mean, when I wrote that question, the first thing I thought of was just there's not a platform for people to talk. Obviously, I'm being selfish talking about the podcast, but like, I just think so many people have preconceived ideas of this won't work, or I can't work with this person, or this guy's an ass. And it's like, have you ever talked to him?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to their facility? Have you ever seen their animals?
Have you ever spoken to them on the,
Right. Anything. And so that's just kind of my thing, is like within this small industry, when I wrote it, was people just get preconceived ideas about it and they take it as gospel truth and they'll never look at it for their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether it's industry specific as a whole, or if it's from a veterinarian standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head that this industry can be bad about preconceived notions about people. And I think that is a hard thing to overcome. And I really love what we're doing at the podcast, because it is giving people the opportunity to listen to people. And I said this to you, in a safe space where it's like they can be listening to this in their car and they're like, I'm going to listen to this podcast and I'm going to think about how, Brittni is this way or that way. And then they hear it and maybe they're like, oh, maybe she's not a bitch
Right.
or what have you.
Right.
And so I think that it's a safe space for people to get to know other people in the industry and realize that a lot of us have a lot of commonalities. Like we
Right.
all kind of want the same things. We want the industry to grow. We want everybody to be successful. Like we want our clients to be successful. We want their competitors to be successful. We all want the same things. There's just the way that we go about them is different.
Right.
So I really think this industry could be better about letting their own personal experience guide their decision making or their opinions. And we try really hard from our veterinary perspective because we hear things about people every day.
Right.
And we tell our team, everyone gets a clean slate. Everybody, it doesn't matter what you've heard about them or so-and-so got, they sold someone this and they lied about the age or whatever. It's like, we're going to go into it with a clean slate because that's not our experience.
Right.
Like we get to make our own opinions and maybe we do form similar opinions after meeting somebody, but we always give them the benefit of the doubt that we're going to give you the opportunity to show us who you are and explain your vision for, whatever part of the industry you're in. And we're going to let that guide our decision-making or our opinion about you. And we can even have differing opinions amongst our own team where we're like, this person works really well with this other veterinarian or this team member, but they could be really hard for someone else's personality to get along with.
Right.
So even just knowing that, but we all get to make our own opinion or based on the evidence that we personally experience. And that's very important for our team is that we can listen to the noise, but we have to really be objective about how we're viewing our clients and the people in this industry.
Yeah, very similar to what I just said about so many commonalities, but like we have the same thing is like we'll go to some places and there's definitely people that are just paychecks and they don't want to be friends and they just want us to do a job and that's fine, but we're very close with a lot of other people. Well, a lot of the close people that we're friends with, they want to tell us, don't do work with this person, don't do work with this person. I'm like, until they do something specifically to me, I am going to treat them the same as everyone else, which there has been times where I should have listened and people rag up a $30,000 bill and don't pay it. And we're like,
call them out right now.
Right. Hey, Daniel Newman. No. But and this was years ago and by the grace of God, but like we talked about before, the aging report's better and everything else. But beforehand, it was like someone withheld $30,000. I was like, hey, I'm by myself. I need that. I need that to function, much less just the commonality of being a human being. It's like, be a decent person, pay your bill. Yeah. Like you knew calling us, like we always joke and we're like, people will call and be surprised. They're like, you actually pay for or charge for your services?
Like,
yeah, this is a living.
You. Yeah, this is a job.
Right.
Yeah. And in our industry too, it's specifically about the audience that we're talking to it's important what we're bringing to the table as far as like the vision and elevating the industry. So I think that, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, no, for
sure. I
sure.
lost it.
Yeah. And then, okay. So what about from the outside perspective, people who are not in this industry,
what they think?
What do they think about this industry?
They think we hunt everything.
Yeah.
They're like male, female. They're just out there with ARs decimating all these animals. And I'm like, we wouldn't have any if that was the case.
Right.
So
we actually spend millions of dollars to preserve them.
Yeah. But what do I know?
Right.
We get that a lot because we do a lot of zoo work and we're like really trying to bridge some of that gap between management of like private animals and really showing zoo institutions like, hey, this actually adds a lot of value to conservation and what we're doing is important. Right. So for us, it's like telling people like when we go to these meetings and they're like, oh, you work in the private industry. You guys work for hunting ranches. And we're like, yeah, we do. And we also work for private, people that are doing conservation work or breeding animals that are like extinct in the wild or critically endangered, or there's more of them in captivity than there are in the wild.
Right.
So I think for us, it's like trying to bring that voice to those issues and saying, no, we're not just out here with ARs. Like we actually had a facility that told us that they believed that the private industry was hunting female Grevy zebras. You got to just zoom in on your face when I say that, because that was like exactly my reaction is like, no,
holy crap.
Nobody's doing that. That's not happening.
Jesus.
Yeah. But that's something that we had to speak truth to and say, I can say without a doubt that's not happening. Like that's not or they think that we are selling opportunities for people to jump out of helicopters and net gun animals. Like that's like an experience that people pay
Someone
to
has
do.
approached me about that as a business venture, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because there's no practicality to it. And the risk versus reward,
Yeah. And
it would never work.
And helicopters are expensive, and that's like a industry thing for management of animals, but not like a pay to play adventure.
Right. Yeah, it's and we talked about it. People have tried to do TV shows in this industry and everything else, and it's not beautiful.
Yeah.
Like by any means, it's not beautiful. You can't go take every species and lay them on a table and in an air conditioned room and preferably be able to hook them to oxygen and everything, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And I think people just view this from their personal bias, and they think that it's like, I'm going to probably start using this, but Macy used it yesterday. He goes, Walt Disney got it wrong. These animals do not all get along, and they do not sing songs. They do not hold hands.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is like, that's the perception from the outside, is they're just like, well, why would you do that? And don't put a mask on him. That's not, they don't wear masks normally.
Yeah.
It's like, don't sedate him. Just walk up and do this. It's like, excuse me?
Or just trap everything. I'm
Right.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trap a bunch of wildebeest together. I mean,
Yeah, see
people
how
do
that
it.
goes.
But yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then one other side was, we kind of talked about it, and this may be something we just skip over, but how do you stay loyal to the animals? Because like I said, or we talked about on the phone yesterday, is animals are second to humans on like staff, keeping people safe. But how do you stay loyal to the animals when some people doing what you do are like, the owners are kind of a pain in the butt?
Yeah. And this is actually where I was going earlier when I lost my train of thought, was that exactly was for us as veterinarians, like, it's not my responsibility to decide to care for an animal because of who owns it. It's not the animal's fault that it's in the ownership of someone that maybe doesn't care about the longevity of the animal or the species. So for us as veterinarians, I'm like, our loyalty, of course, is to our client. That's who pays us. But it's speaking for the animal. It's what can we actually obtainably help this animal with? And that part, I think, is kind of the easy part for us. The client part is the harder part. The animal part is, if animals didn't come with humans, it would be so much easier for us to do what we're doing. But because they come with people that manage them, that's the harder part, especially for veterinarians, is that dynamic versus the animal. Like, we can look at an animal and say, this animal is suffering, and there's not anything I can do from a veterinary perspective that's going to help it, and we need to like euthanize it. And I have to be confident in saying that, because this is someone's asset. And that's the dynamic that's hard, is the client, well, this animal is it could be worth $1 million.
Right.
You could have $1 million to save it, and I would still say the same thing. So I think that's, the animal part is easy to us, because that's why we became veterinarians, is to advocate on their behalf, whether they're worth $1 million or $0, like a sheep at the sale barn or a giraffe.
Yeah. So how do you balance your emotional resilience to that? Because I mean, just like you talked about earlier at the beginning, even with from a young age, just working animals, right? Death loss, or just death in general, is a huge part of Mother Nature. And so how do you balance that with, this is your practice to save them, and then the emotional side of having to euthanize them, or just tell your clients, hey, this isn't going to work?
Yeah, a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
So I have a therapist. I go like every week or every other week. And that's been helpful for me from mental health perspective, because that's something that, like, there are things that we shouldn't be burdening the rest of our team or our spouse with. And so for me, therapy has been a huge benefit to me. And then healthy compartmentalization, like mantras of, like, one of the things that we tell our team, and I ask them this question when things go wrong: did you do the best that you could with the information that you had? And if the answer is yes, then of course you can still be sad that the outcome wasn't what you wanted. But when something happens and we know the outcome, we're very quick to be hard on ourselves, to say, I should not have done it that way. Well, did you know that when you did it the way that you did it? Well, no. Then that's the answer, right? Like, we have to give ourselves grace for the things that we don't know.
Right.
And we are not God. We don't have a magic wand. So we do the best we can with the information that we have on animals that are incredibly difficult to know if they're sick or hurt or what have you. So we have to be very graceful with ourselves and like our self-talk as well. And we have to be emotionally resilient, and knowing that there are some things that are outside of our control as veterinarians, and you have to accept that. And death is sad. It's part of the process, but there's a healthy amount of compartmentalization that you have to do to say, I'm going to be upset about this thing that happened because the animal died or the animal had a issue that I couldn't fix because it was an exotic animal.
Right.
Like if this had been a sheep or a goat, I could have fixed it. But because it was a bongo, I couldn't.
Right.
And I think for us, that was important to our team is that we do the best we can with what we have.
Right.
And that has to be good enough. And of course, like mental health helps like with having healthy boundaries about like when clients call us or how much we answer on our off time or the relationships that we have with them. So I think boundaries were really important. Like in the beginning, that wasn't important to me because I was hungry. I wanted work. I wanted to help everybody. And now we have more healthy boundaries associated with how we're communicating with clients or who we're working with and when.
Right.
So I think there's a lot that we can do, but it's a lot of it's through trial and error in like the school of hard knocks, is figuring it out the hard way sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's again, going back to same song and dance, same industry, but different parts of it is, yeah, I mean, I would take phone calls at 11 p.m. I'd be on a date with my wife and step out and take a call. And I think I realized I probably had too much of I thought too much of myself because I was but unintentionally. I was like, if I don't answer this phone call, this ranch is going to fall apart. And then looking back at myself now from when I was younger, I'm like, who did I think I was?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. I can
resonate with that so much where you're like, oh, I have to answer this because, and they're like, hey, I looked at that feed and I'm like, it's 11 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, oh yeah, let me talk to you about this feed because it's really important that I'm like available to you at all times.
Right. Yeah. And I've even seen, now looking back on the other side as I'm getting a little older and probably a little more respect from people, but I think they have more respect for you when you have boundaries and they're like, oh, you're not just, I can't just on a call or whimsily call you anytime I want, just when I'm thinking about it. And like we had a client tell us one time, he's like, what do you mean you're not working at night? Like, how do you get anything done? It's like,
what do you mean you're not working on the weekend?
Yeah.
And now like my answers, like, I'm like, no, like no is a full sentence. Like I don't have to explain some of these things to people. It's like, you don't have to over explain why you're not available or why you can't do a certain thing for them. And yeah, I mean, I resonate a lot with that. Like, who did I think I was back then that I was so great that like I could solve the world's problems at 11 p.m. at night. Right. And I think my personal life suffered for that. 100%. And now it's so much more important to me, like my family and my friends and my mental health and like the time that I get to myself is more important to me than talking about your feed at 11 p.m. at night. Right.
Yeah. And that's what I've told my clients now. I mean, if it's a emergency, which I don't know, maybe trade shows when people need something, but like doing what we do, there's not a huge emergency unless it's to go film something that's a twice in a lifetime thing. But yeah, overall, it's like one of those things where I tell clients now, it's like, I am fully available to you 70% of the time. Yeah. That 30%, my wife, my kids, my friends, my church, everyone needs me there. Yeah. I'm giving you a majority of me. If you can't call me within those time frames, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so like when I'm off and it's not much, but like I say like, all right, Sundays are my day with my girls. I have the same routine. I go through and do this. We go to church. We go to lunch. They have their naps. We have our Bible study. We move on from there. Monday is my day at the office. I'm giving all the people, we have our meetings. We figure out, make sure everything's good for the week. Tuesday to Friday, Saturday's an in-between one, but we're going to charge more because it's the weekend. Yeah. But I'm like, Tuesday to Friday is full blown. What do you need? I'll work late. I'll do whatever else. But let's try to fit within those parameters respectfully. Yeah. And
I think you're 100% right that people respect people that have healthy boundaries because they know that our time is valuable and we believe that it's valuable. Right. We know that it is. So I'm like, if you have a real emergency, now I will answer for you. Right. But I'm not like, and our clients know, like if you are trying to get a hold of us and you can't, and you have an emergency, like it's like 911 us. Text me, my husband, somebody. If you don't leave a voicemail or you're not telling me what the problem is or that you're saying there's a 911, like there's a chance that we're not going to get back to you until a regular day. But our clients know this about us now, about our whole team. And then they're not like we're training them, but they're like, they know what our boundaries are and they respect them. And I think they respect us a lot more because of that. Right. And granted, there are people out there that want their veterinarian to drop everything for every single thing that they have. And I mean, that's the value that they're adding on what they want from their veterinarian. And that's not going to be something we can offer.
Right. Yeah, we've been asked like why we don't do drone surveys and there are higher end drone survey people, but even the aspect of like the deer recovery part used to be a big thing a couple years ago. I said, because I am not going to wake my ass up at 2 a.m. for a couple $100 and then go drive out, sit in the cold and do this for $200.
Yeah.
No, like I'd rather go do a photo shoot for 4,000 or 5,000. Like, let's do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the aspect of like knowing what's going to make you money from a business standpoint. You can still have that emotional tie and that relationship with our people in this industry, but also the people who are like, hey, I want you now, always and forever. I don't want you to spend time with your family. I probably don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
Like, could I use the money? Maybe. Sure. I run a business.
But now that we've been doing it for so long, it's like it becomes less about money and more about the things that money can't buy. Right. Which is time.
100%.
Or time with your friends and family. And like for us and our vet team, it's like if our vets want to take 2 weeks off to go spend time with their family, we want them to be able to do that. Like that's very important to us that we can cover for them and do things for them when they're off and they're off. Right. Like we try not to bother them. Like I take notes about the things that I need them to know when they come back, and they offer me the same respect. And I think that's really important to the value of the exotics industry and people who are setting that precedent now. Right.
So with that, are there any ethical lines you won't cross if clients ask?
I mean, there's a lot of things that we get asked to do that I think people maybe don't realize are unethical, but I'm like illegal things, right? I mean, there's like some gray areas, but there are things that are, and we let our vets make those decisions on their own. Like there are things that are black and white. Right. There's gray areas. We won't do illegal things.
100%.
So when you go to vet school and you go to school for 8 years, every decision that you make, you have to be able to defend to the board, to the DEA, to whoever it might be. And so for us, it's easy for a client to ask us to do something when it's not their livelihood on the line. Right. So there are definitely things that we get asked to do. And when we explain it to people, like why we can't do it that way, it's like, oh, I want to move zebras out of the state to another state. And you're like, well, you actually need to have a Coggins test. Right. And they're like, well,
are you sure?
Yeah. What if we just didn't do that? I'm like, I can't write a health paper.
Go to jail.
Yeah. I'm like, and you're not even the one that's going to get in trouble for that. I'm going to be the one that gets in trouble. So I'm going to write a health paper for 10 zebras to leave the state with no Coggins tests. Right. Who are they going to come after? Right. They're going to say I didn't know.
And doing what you do, you're not risking that one job. You're not risking that one transport. You're risking your entire practice on it.
Yeah.
And so it's a much bigger decision than just moving 10 zebras.
Yeah.
And that's what, and again, I hope for legal purposes, those people are just ignorant to the fact that you have to have those tests and everything else. They're not trying to intentionally do anything illegal, but with what y'all do as veterinarians, it's a much larger stake than just one transport or one animal. Yeah. And ranch owners need to know that. Like your animals, your entire ranch is not worth my entire practice. Like, let's just make that clear.
Yeah. Put that one on the snip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, I mean, I love that you said that, because that's how we explain this to some of the owners, is that some of the things we're asked to do are gray areas, and we're comfortable doing some things, but there are some things that are not going to be worth these veterinarians that work for us. They look to us to tell them what is right and wrong. And we're not going to have someone leave because they're like, well, I don't participate in that specific practice that you're making me do, or, whatever it might be. So it's important to us that there's integrity in knowing too, like, for example, like even like lying about an age or something, like we're not going to do that. They're like, hey, I'll pay you extra to say this animal is this old. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. I'm going to steal, Macy was full of internal, like little one-liners yesterday, but what he said goes, and he's a wildlife biologist. They have 600 clients and everything else. He goes, you're not paying me for my opinion, because you're paying me for my facts.
Yeah.
And now I have opinions, and people will send me a kudu and they'll claim it's a certain age and a certain size. And I'm like, I've seen a lot of kudu and measured a lot of kudu just doing what I do. And I'm going, okay, just make sure it's documented. And I've gotten phone calls. All right, did you make this magazine ad? Yep. Did you typo this? Nope. I was like, I didn't make it up. They sent it to me, and I go, they didn't pay me for my opinion. They paid me for my service.
Yeah.
Which is hard because I'm a prideful human being and I want to tell them, whoever sold you that lied.
Yeah.
Like, see how big his neck is or see how big this is? That's not a young
We see this
animal.
all the time where we're like, they're like, how old is it? I'm like, it has no teeth. Like, it came over on Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I've got.
Yeah.
Like,
Go sell him as a young proven breeder.
Yes. Yeah. And the age lying thing, I mean, people joke about it like in the moments, but our team's like, that will never happen. Like,
Right.
we're never going to lie, even for our best client, for money.
Right.
To like, that's not worth the integrity of what our operation is standing for.
Right.
So I think people are always going to try to ask you to do something, and sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they know it's wrong. Sometimes they
Right.
know it's illegal or whatever. But that's why it's great for us that we're independent. We're independent contractors to these facilities, so they're not like, oh, well, I write your check, so you will lie.
Right. Yeah, and I have to tell people often is like, we do work for the ranch. We do not work for the ranch.
Yeah.
That's a big
Yeah.
separating factor.
Yeah.
And so you've been doing this for how long now?
10 years.
10 years. So what's one of your most interesting cases you've been a part of?
There are so many. I think about like all the times that we had baby giraffes in the backseat of our truck driving. Like, we like stopped at Buc-ee's with a baby giraffe in our backseat, and we're like, people just know that there's just like a baby giraffe in the backseat. It's crazy. Right. I mean, every baby giraffe. So we put a baby giraffe in our. So hopefully my like previous landlord doesn't listen to this podcast, but we were renting a house in Fredericksburg, and we like put all kinds of animals in that house. Like, we put a giraffe in the garage in a neighborhood, a baby giraffe in our garage, and
cool.
that was then when it got a week old, we had to like move it out of the garage, and people were like walking on the sidewalk when we did that, and we were like, they're going to report us. We had a tapir that was living in our house, and my husband, Ian, let it on the couch with him and sleep with him. Like, there's just been...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And he's like sending me a video. I'm like, hey, it's fine if the tapir's in the house, but don't let her on the couch.
Right.
And then he's like, well, she like wanted to be on the couch.
She wanted to cuddle.
Yeah. And she was in a tapir, once it decides it wants to do something, it's like a bowling ball with legs. So it's like, I'm getting on this couch. I mean, some of the cooler stories are, a lot of these animals, when they're sick, they die, but like the ones that don't, like the ones we're able to like pull back out of the grave, those are always the stories that like stick with us forever. Like, we had a giraffe that was so sick, a baby giraffe we had her in the hospital for like 6 months. And when she came in, like, I also had a baby sick tapir in the hospital. I got food poisoning. I'm on the floor of the barn puking, and the tapir's running around trying to like eat it, and Wanda's trying to take care of me, and I'm trying to run plasma to the giraffe. And it's like moments like that are so chaotic, but then you look back and you're like, who else gets to say like, I had food poisoning and a tapir was running around while I'm puking, while I'm running plasma to a giraffe? Like, it's the coolest industry, but also like the most insane stories of resilience and just like care that we can provide.
Right.
The giraffe ended up being fine. So that was really cool. Like, that was one of the cases where we've not lost a baby giraffe like that. So I was like, this is a case where this might be the first one that we can't fix or save. And we were able to save her with a lot of care, like a lot of shift work and a lot of tired people on our team that really pulled out a lot to make that happen. And then the baby tapir that we saved, that was also in the hospital for 6 months, she just had her first baby. And that's like so full circle, because now the babies that we helped with are having babies. And so they're contributing to the species. And that, like, all of those.
That's got to be rewarding.
Oh, yeah. And it's fun to watch. Like, we have animals that get traded to other facilities or sold, and then we get to go see them there. And we're like, that's so cool. Like, we saw you as a baby, and now you're at another facility that we work with, and we get to have this continuity of care of some of these animals that we've like really gotten to know on a deeper level, whether they were hospitalized or sick or whatnot. The stories where the animals live through like very serious sicknesses or illnesses are the ones that I feel like are the most rewarding to us, and they remind us of what we're capable of. And it's not always what we end up getting to do, or we don't always get to save them. But when we do, it's a reminder of the importance of like the value of what we add to the species and the industry in Texas.
Right. Yeah, that's it's really rewarding too. And like, even for us, like, cause y'all can see physically like the animals you're like taking care of, if they live, if they die, if they have babies, reproduce. But the only time we get to know if what we did, quote unquote, worked, because we can show the final product, right? But it's very rewarding when someone calls back like, hey, I made a $250,000 sale today because of this video or this whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's always rewarding being able to know, but like we'll even call clients sometimes, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm like, hey, I'm just curious, because we've got a little statistic book now, and we try to add as much in there, but we can only add what clients tell us. Like, it's not like we can go out and be like, hey, you have 3 babies in your giraffe pen. Like, we helped with that.
Yeah.
And some people get weird as they're like, well, was it because of your marketing or was it because of the stuff I told them? I'm like, I'm on the same team. I'm not trying to take a commission.
Maybe it's both. Like,
right.
100%.
And again, I don't work for the ranch. I'm only helping you.
Yeah.
Did you show them any pictures? Did you show them any videos? So yeah, some people get weird about trying to, was it you or was it me? It's like, it was you. I'm sorry. Just keep doing your thing.
There are people that are like, oh, like what we did to this animal, like fix it, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever you want to believe about how this happened is great if the animal's alive.
Yeah. Just keep hiring me.
Yep. Whatever narrative about this is your truth is fine if the animal's fine.
Yeah. Before we wrap up today's podcast, a quick message from Swing Free Alliance. Those baby spider monkeys that you see on social media might look cute, but the truth is often tragic. Poachers frequently kill the mothers just to capture the babies. Swing Free Alliance is exposing the reality of the exotic pet trade and fighting for a better future for these animals. They're born to swing free, not to be smuggled. If you'd like to learn more information, visit swingfreealliance.com, or you can check out the link in the bio below. All right, I'm letting you know this is an ad. I'm also letting you know that we are actively looking for sponsors. Yes, if you become a sponsor, you will be promoted on our e-blasts, our social media, and our website, and so much more. But we are asking for support because this podcast is time consuming. Scheduling people, editing it, running, coming up with the questions, and all that it goes into this, but we are trying to benefit our industry. So if you want to be a sponsor and get more eyeballs on your business, or if you just want to help Droptine Studios continue to put stuff out for our industry, please consider being a sponsor. Go to droptinestudios.com/podcast, and you'll see all of our pre-made packages that you could be a sponsor for. Thank you. So we've got a couple closing questions for you.
Okay.
So if any ranch owner is listening, what's one thing you would want them to take away from this podcast, or even one thing you want to add to them?
That the relationship you have with your veterinarian is one of the most important relationships to help your ranch. And it doesn't have to be us, right? Like, there are other people out there. The most important thing is that it's a relationship built on a foundational trust. It does not have to be our team, but that relationship is so important to the success of your ranch. And more people need to understand the role that a veterinarian can play in helping them be successful. And that's just such an important concept.
Absolutely. Now, if there's any future potential veterinarians listening, what's one thing you want to tell them?
I mean, keep knocking on every door. I mean, try to get every experience that you can. And it doesn't even have to be with like a veterinarian. Like, my first ones were just doing animal work at a ranch, or just going to shadow, or taking as many opportunities as you can, but putting yourself out there. Like, some of the opportunities I got were because I put myself in front of people and were like, hey, like, I did a research study at White Oak, and historically White Oak has been like a hard place to get into. And I went to Zoo Vets conference as a first-year vet student, and I walked up to the vet from White Oak, and I was like, my name is Brittni East, and I'm going to come do a research study at White Oak, and I'm going to get all the funding for it. And they were like, if you can do it, sure. And I did, because I was like, well, they said yes, so I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. So I think just finding opportunities, like, don't just ask people how to do it, like, be creative about how you can get your foot in the door places. And that was for me, like, I'm like, I can add value while you're adding value to me. And so for me, I was like, I tried to find creative approaches in the industry to get my name out there, or to get the experience that I was looking for.
Absolutely. So the other part of this we asked is, we're luckily at a place where we can kind of grow our team and grow this. So anyone listening, if they've loved what they've heard, are you taking on any new clients?
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in having someone from our team come out, they can we have an email, we have a website, and the website has like the best communication ways to get a hold of us. It has the email, phone numbers, leaving a voicemail. If you call, the numbers are going to be the best way for us to get back to you. But yeah, and as we're hiring more people, we're expanding our ability to serve more areas. So we're definitely always looking for the right fits for what we're trying to do.
Well, perfect. So if anyone's listening, or if you want to be an intern, just email her nonstop.
Yeah,
like she
nonstop
did.
all the time. Leave 100 voicemail. I'm actually going to text you when this happens because
well,
what have we done?
We'll make a spreadsheet and put it on our social clip and be like, hey, look, this actually works.
Yeah.
But no, Brittni, we appreciate it. I know we're going to have you on very soon. Here in more a couple hours to go through another in-depth podcast, but we wanted to separate them. So if you're listening to this, it may be a week or two after, but we are going to post another podcast with Brittni, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So Brittni, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom today.
Thanks for having me.